Do you want to know how to talk to your child about anxiety? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about anxiety. In this video, we're going to talk about anxiety and what happens in the mind of a person when they're experiencing anxiety, and then what we can do to help a person to prepare to cope with that anxiety. When a person has anxiety, they are focusing on something and can't stop. They're in a state of worry and stress. There's uncertainty that's there. They are feeling apprehensive, possibly, about something, either a future outcome or maybe about a future experience that they might be forced to take. Basically, a person who is experiencing anxiety is worried about something that they can't control. We all love to be in control of things. That's just part of being a human. But there's this part of being a human called stepping out of your comfort zone. And this is a really important part of growth and development. In fact, did you know that in schools right now, there is a movement to remove digital devices in schools, like to say that children can't use their phones during class, maybe in between class fine, but not like during class. And that what they're finding is that in these schools where they are limiting the device usage in class, that the students are talking to each other more, problem solving more, collaborating, they're getting more risky, they're taking more risks and stuff. This is a good thing, actually. I know a lot of parents probably don't want their children taking risks, but it's actually a good part of development to take a risk. To go, I'm gonna step out of this comfort zone and see what happens. And then I'm going to know what I'm capable of or what I want to try next time. There's an amount of experimentation that involves some risk that is part of a healthy upbringing. And our children are not getting as many of those opportunities nowadays because the digital is running everything. And so there's no risk involved. So then anytime there is risk, it seems very, very scary. So essentially you have a person who feels stress, they are worried about that feeling that they have of stepping out of the comfort zone, they can't control it, they don't know the outcome, and so they are like digging their heels in, refusing to make a change, whether it's to go meet a new person, to try a new activity, to try a new food, whatever it is, because people have all of their different anxieties. So how do we talk to our children about this? It's important that we have these conversations with them. If our child doesn't have anxiety, probably some of their friends do. But here's the thing, is that actually everybody has anxiety. We have to remember that. We all can experience moments of anxiety. Now, there are some times where it's more acute anxiety, or it's maybe linked to something that's like a neurodiversity, a way of processing, but even so, people can learn to deal with those anxieties, tell themselves that's just an anxiety. I have to give myself a no answer about that. They can tell themselves to focus forward. It takes practice. Sometimes it takes patience. It takes understanding, but a person can actually move forward. So whether you're talking with your child about their own anxiety or about another person's anxiety, I would recommend hitting a few key areas in the conversation. Now, if you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know I could probably talk about anxiety and various mental health things, each of them for probably like hours at a time. And there's a lot of videos here already about anxiety, but I think that this one specifically on how to talk about it is going to be a key piece as well. But if you want more about anxiety and helping children deal with their anxieties and stuff like that, then be sure to keep watching videos on this channel and get additional help that you need from teachingselfgovernment.com. So here's some key points that you might want to keep in mind as you're discussing anxiety. Number one, when you're talking about it, let's not stigmatize it. Let's not make it as if it's a super big deal. The last thing that a person needs is to feel like they're worthless because they're experiencing anxiety. Another thing they don't need is additional attention because they're experiencing anxiety. They also don't need to be made to feel broken because they have anxiety. Anxiety should be something that we say, okay, this could happen to anybody. How are we going to work through it? It shouldn't be a stop button. It should be a pause and work button. So keep that in mind as far as your tone goes when you're talking with the children. If the children feel confidence from you that, hey, we can overcome this, we can talk about this, then that's going to help them decide to move on. Lots of times what parents do when they have conversations about touchy subjects or things that their children feel emotional about or anxious about is they just give in to whatever the child feels like at the time. And it may seem kind, it may seem affirming or understanding, but truthfully what it does is it disempowers the child. It makes them feel like they're stuck. What they really need is they need a person to help them move forward, to identify what's going on and move past it. And that's what you need to do. So keep those tones in mind and then set up a time to have what I call a parent counseling session with your child. Parent counseling sessions are talked about in my TSG parenting course. They're one of the 5 teaching styles that parents use with their children. Parent counseling sessions are when you have a one-on-one or maybe two-on-one conversation about something, one issue, only one issue at a time. So don't bring up everything under the sun. One issue. So maybe you're going to talk about anxiety that you've noticed, or having a learning moment about anxiety, or planning for how to deal with future anxiety. But either way, it's that one thing, okay? Singular focus. So then what you do is you say, you know, I've noticed that your friend seems to be struggling with whatever, and that, you know, maybe that's something that you've noticed, or I've noticed that lately you've been feeling a little bit more stressed about things. That could just be some anxiety. And I want you to know that anxiety is normal. But how about you tell me about what's going on so that I can, you know, help you and we can make some plans so that it doesn't have to be a persistent problem for you. So now you've told them, we're going to talk about this so that this doesn't have to be your go-to problem forever. This is totally different than what society teaches. If the youth start looking up anxiety on social media or online or whatever, they make it sound like you're going to have it forever. You just have anxiety. The whole world has to change to fit your needs. That's disempowering. Now I can't solve my problem. I can only go around trying to control everybody else and so they don't hurt my feelings. A good parent would say, let's talk about what we can do. Let's make a plan. Let's help you. So then you're going to talk with them about the circumstance, hear what they have to say, repeat back, make sure that they know you fully understand, and then you're going to explain. I've felt anxiety before too. I think everyone has. Now there are certain types of anxiety that are temporary and certain types of anxiety that could go along with certain processing and stuff. But most people's anxiety is temporary. And it's something that you can learn to cope with. But when I say cope, I don't mean that you ignore it. I mean that you take it on, that you prove it wrong. We can prove your anxiety wrong. And then you won't have to have those anxieties anymore. So this next time when you're feeling anxious about meeting a new friend or eating a new food or whatever the anxiety is, what can we tell ourselves in the moment of having that thought that feels not safe in our head? Maybe we can say, that is anxiety. Just declare it to your own head. That is anxiety. Challenge it. Prove it wrong. And if you try to prove it wrong and it's still proved right, then so be it. But most of the time you could prove it wrong. Challenge it. Prove it wrong. So what are you going to tell yourself to challenge it? I could do this. I can do more than I think I can. So you're going to set up a thought pattern, a process for your child to go through during moments of anxiety. Then you're going to check up with them weekly in what I call mentor meetings, parent-mentor meetings. So each week in the Teaching Self-Government Parenting System, we have regular checkups or meetings with our children. Now we don't sit and just talk about their feelings. We talk about all kinds of things. These are the meetings where we talk about lots of different stuff in our life. We talk about how we're succeeding, concerns we have, those types of things. These books here, you get one for each child, and then they get to fill it out and track their progress on a lot of different areas of their own development so that they take ownership over those things. And their mental health is part of their personal development. They need to be tracking things and celebrating things so that they can see themselves accomplishing goals, succeeding. It's really, really empowering. Now, this is just the beginning on talking with your child about anxiety. Like I said, there's a lot more here on the channel about anxiety. It could be a good idea for you to look up other videos on this channel about anxiety or about emotions. Another thing that might be helpful to you is a training on the Teaching Self-Government website called The Value and Mastery of Emotions. That training is meant to follow the TSG parenting course, but it could be done as a standalone training as well, and it's meant to help us and our children understand how to cope with and steer emotions in a productive direction. So go to teachingselfgovernment.com today.